So you're an Ironman and you struggle with nucleus runs. Here's a guide on how to do that at beginner level. Obviously, as this is a beginner levels guide, this means that this is not the most efficient way to do it, but the easiest. You need the least things in order to actually do this strategy. Now, let's talk about what you'd need for a crystal nucleus run. You'd need all 5 gemstones. And how do you get them? So let's first talk about the jungle key. How do you get a jungle key? Well, there's 2 ways, one reasonable and one less so. The less so reasonable way is to find Odawa somewhere in the jungle. There's these things called jungle villages, and then you enter this jungle village, talk to Odawa, and then you can buy a jungle key from him. He'll want sludge juice in return for this key. How do you get that? Simple, killing the slimes that are in the jungle anyways. The second mythology is a bit more reasonable. You gotta find a key guardian. A key guardian spawns in 2 structures. These are rare, and my luck has it that in the last half an hour I couldn't find one, so I'm gonna just show you a picture of it. Now, at these locations, the key guardian will spawn every few minutes, and every time you kill him, he'll drop you 1 or 2 jungle keys. This is extremely useful for Ironman players, and it's farmable. So once you find it, be sure to take 1 or 2 stacks of keys with you. The next thing you gotta do is find the jungle temple. These things also spawn somewhere randomly, but you'll notice because as soon as you're in the proximity of one, all your speed is gone, you can't teleport anymore, and it will show you in chat. Now we gotta head to the temple, take our key, and actually talk to the villagers. These ones are special ones because they will ask you for a key, and if you give them one, it'll open the jungle temple. Now in here you still can't really teleport or use your speed stats. However, you still need to do a jump and run, but it's fairly easy and straightforward. Beware of these arrow traps, they hurt, and if you land in the lava, you'll be teleported all the way to the start. Now, once you actually reach the end of it, you will have 2 chests and the crystal. Of course, you're gonna open both chests, because not doing so is considered a crime, and you're just gonna right-click the crystal. And there you go, you just got your first out of 5 crystal. Now you're gonna walk back here and just flick the lever and boom, you're out of the temple again. Now next up is the 4 tools for the Mines of Divan. Once you actually reach the Mines of Divan, it becomes fairly trivial. You're just gonna talk to any one of the 4 NPCs standing around and they will give you a metal detector. Now with this, you will have a treasure distance right next to your defense stat. And thanks to some handy dandy add-ons I've installed, it will instantly show me where the treasure is. And once you now claim it, you actually get something random. The loot pool for these isn't horrible. You can actually get some really useful stuff, but the things you're going for are of course the 4 items. In the end, you're just gonna click all 4 NPCs with all 4 items in your inventory, and once you've done that, you actually earn yourself the Jade Crystal. Quick intervention, as I forgot to mention this earlier, finding these structures can be somewhat improved by the Wishing Compass. This item will show you important locations inside the Crystal Hollows, although not always the most important ones. More often than not, it just shows you stuff you don't actually really need anymore. So over the Wishing Compass, I would suggest installing some good old Skyblock mods. There are a good few out there, but if you really want to take it safe and are lazy just like I am, just download the Badlion client. It comes with all the add-ons you'll need for this. Next up, it gets a bit more annoying. Depending on how far you are actually into mining progression itself and whether you already know how to powder mine, if you don't really know about that, you can check my channel if I have already uploaded a guide on that. As we're speaking, I'm working on something. But for this, the most important thing right now is that you are able to insta-break Hearthstone. You need 1500 mining speed if I am not mistaken, and once you actually get that, it's fairly trivial and almost boring. And the thing you're gonna do is simply break Heartstone. Because when breaking Heartstone, these treasure chests will appear. Now why are we doing this? Once again, the loot you'll get from these chests is actually somewhat decent. We also need Heartstone for something later down the road, so don't just throw it all away, keep some of it. And we haven't even talked about the robot parts now. So you'll need a few robot parts. You'll need a control switch, a FTX 3070 super light motor, electronic transmitter, Robotron reflector, and a artificial heart. You can also craft these together to a precursor apparatus. Both works. I just did this for storage sake. You can actually get these parts out of chests. For the early game, this is a bit more convenient, as killing automatons takes quite a bit of damage. Now, once you're at the precursor city, which is another structure, you guessed it, in the Precursor Remnants now, you'll need to find this huge robot and just talk to the professor. He will ask you for, again, all of the robot parts, and after giving all of these, or a precursor apparatus, he will open the door, and there you go, that's your third crystal. So now for your fourth crystal, and the last one you'll actually get through a somewhat quest, you'll need a goblin egg. Now, I'm not talking about a red, yellow, blue, or green one, I'm just talking about a plain old goblin egg. These are actually fairly common. If you get goblin killing quests inside the dwarven mines, you'll have a few of those. But just if you don't have any of them left, you can also powder mine here, aka mine Heartstone for treasure chests, and instead of Robotron parts, you'll get all sorts of goblin eggs, and you guessed it, this one is the most common one. Now, the Goblin Holdout is actually the only zone in the Crystal Hollows that has 2 points of interest. The first one being King Yolkar, and the second one being the Goblin Queen's Den. Now, you want to speak to King Yolkar. He's gonna talk about his, let's just say, rocky relationship with the queen and how he got kicked out. As soon as you give him a goblin egg, he will give you, let's just say, goblin's perfume. Now, once you have the perfume, you can actually just walk right beneath these golems. They won't kick you out, and then you can just click the crystal, and there you go. Now it's time to actually put the Heartstone you mined to good use. You want to organize yourself a heat set. Now, this set has some pretty cool bonuses like tripling defense and strength stats on your mining island, but the most important one is you are immune to heat, because we are now going to fight Bel. Bel is inside the Khazid Dune, which is inside the magma fields. And inside the magma fields, if you didn't know, there's this system called heat. The longer you're in there, the more heat you get. And the more heat you have, the more damage you take. And at a certain point, you just die. You can combat this with drinking water bottles, but this is a bit more convenient as we're gonna do multiple rounds and we don't want to fill up our inventory with water bottles. Now, once you actually reach the arena, the Khazid Dune, Bel's gonna spawn in the middle. He's just gonna grow, and a pro strat is actually teleporting behind him. This is where the crystal will spawn. The barrier blocks are still here, and this way the yogs won't annoy you. Once he's fully grown, he's gonna start jumping around, spawning various enemies and hitting the closest player with fireballs. He might occasionally hit a blaze, and then the blaze will attack him, but it won't really do anything to him, so it's still dependent on you doing as much damage as possible. Once you actually beat him, he'll just teleport into the middle. Be worried, he can still hit you, and the crystal will appear here. Once again, just right click and then you're almost done. Because every time you hit him, he has a chance to drop a thing, crystals and or yogis, or even a bell pet. So I just suggest you grab those before leaving. As you can see here, this can actually stack up quite a bit, so we just got 7 yogis right then and there. And then once you're at the crystal nucleus again, the only thing left for you to do is actually enter the crystals. And as soon as you place the last one, loot will spawn right in front of the vault. There will also be a summary in chat what you got. Most of the stuff is going to be gemstone, but there's also always 800 Heart of the Mountain experience, and the really important or interesting stuff is up here. So you're just gonna walk through this, collect it all, and there you go. That's your nucleus run. Now, the only thing you gotta do is rinse and repeat, watch some Netflix or YouTube while doing that, or maybe join me on Twitch. Shameless plug, I know. After that, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, subscribe, tell me what I could have done better in the comments, and until next time.